Vice President Kamala Harris doubling down on her economic plan with a stop in Pittsburgh yesterday. Also, that solo sit down with MSNBC last night, where she really distanced herself from her Republican opponent, comparing her middle class roots to Donald Trump's billionaire background. But have to include this: a recent poll shows that voters favor Republican policies to better handle key issues like the economy. Joining me now, I have RNC Chairman Michael Whatley. Michael, it's always good to have you. Republicans have had about 12 hours, a little bit more, to digest the plans that she laid out. What do you make of them so far?
They're not ready for prime time, just like her entire candidacy. When you think about the bedrock principles that she's pushing forward, she is going to leave less money in America's pockets because she is going to put in place the largest tax increase in American history. And she also is going to drive prices up by doubling down on every one of the inflationary policies that she has put in place. She is the one who cast the tie-breaking vote on $2.5 trillion worth of inflationary spending that has driven up the price of groceries, the price of gasoline, the price of housing. So every American family has less money, and they're going to have to spend more just to get by.
And let me play a bit of sound, Michael, from yesterday. Vice President Harris, of course, sat down with MSNBC. Hear how she plans to offer tax credits to American families.
Under my plan, taxes for 100 million Americans will actually be cut, including $6,000 a year for young couples for the first year of their child's life, and a tax cut, a tax credit, essentially.
So, Michael, are you calling her bluff on that one? Is that even possible?
It's not possible. What she has said is she's going to allow the Trump tax cuts to expire, which will be the largest tax increase on the American people that we have ever had. The Trump tax cuts, which need to be extended, extended tax cuts to every American family. It was the largest tax cut in history, and that's the basis for what we're doing going forward. She's also said she's going to tax unrealized gains, which would be another massive tax hike on every American that owns a home or owns any stock in their portfolio.
Michael, recent polls show that Trump is trailing Harris in Pennsylvania. Yet voters, as I mentioned off the top there, voters do favor Republican policy when it comes to the economy. So how does President Trump gain votes in Pennsylvania, and what does he need to do to turn it red?
He needs to continue to talk every day to the voters of Pennsylvania, to every voter across Pennsylvania. You know, Pennsylvania is so critical as a battleground state, but it's really a bellwether state. When you think about the economic issues that every American is facing, Pennsylvania is ground zero for it. When you look at the energy issues, the fact that Kamala Harris has declared war on energy and is going to shut down fracking, that's a major issue in Pennsylvania. When we talk about a rural versus an urban versus a suburban split, Pennsylvania has it all. So as goes Pennsylvania, so goes the rest of the country. And we are very, very comfortable with the polling that we're seeing in Pennsylvania right now, and the fact that Donald Trump is in a great position to win the state.
Well, it's interesting, you know, both of these candidates majored in economy, and they're both giving very different visions of what that might look like for the American people. I know that Trump has said he doesn't need to do another debate. Does the RNC wish that he would?
No, not at all. I don't think you need to give her another huge platform to be able to go out there and work with the moderators to have a 3-on-1 debate. Donald Trump is out there right now communicating directly with the American voters. He's working every single battleground state, and he is going to communicate his message very, very clearly across the country in terms of what he's going to do. You know, we have a 4-year track record of Donald Trump in office, and what he did for our economy was create one of the fastest growing boom economies that we ever saw. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden took that economy and have strangled it with high inflation, and now she wants to double down on that inflation with tax increases. So I think you just look at the experience that the American people had under Donald Trump versus the experience they're going through right now. And Americans are going to say we're not better off than we were 4 years ago.
I think a lot of people asking themselves, you know, when they did feel good about the economy. When was the last time they felt that? Michael Whatley, thank you so much, sir, as always. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.